Perhaps you are listening to this in a quiet room, in the car between obligations, or with headphones on as the world moves past you. Wherever you are, I invite you to slow down for a moment, to listen, not just with your ears, but with the part of you that sometimes wonders in the quiet hours about the path you are on. This channel is a space for that kind of reflection, for the thoughts that don't have an urgent voice, but a persistent one, for the quiet inventory we all begin to take sooner or later of the life we have lived and the life we imagined. Today, we are going to explore a feeling that deepens with the years. Not anger, not fear, but something quieter and heavier. Regret. Not the sharp regret of a single mistake, but the slow accumulating weight of the paths not taken, the words not spoken, the love not fully expressed, the self not truly known. It is the shadow companion to a life lived, and it speaks most clearly when the noise of ambition and busyness begins to fade. If what you hear resonates with you, if it gives you space to breathe and reflect, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. It helps this quiet corner of the internet grow. There is a playlist on the Psychology of Life Transitions linked at the end, which you may find meaningful to explore next. For now, let us begin by looking at the first and perhaps most common source of this weight, the realization that comes too late.
There is a peculiar quality to time when you are young. It feels like a resource you are given in such abundance that it borders on the mundane. You are told it is precious, but you cannot feel its texture, its true weight. It is abstract, and so you learn to trade it. You trade it for security, for approval, for a promised future that always seems to sit just beyond the horizon. You say the most dangerous words in any language. I will do it later. There will be time, when things settle down. This is the genesis of the first and deepest category of regret. It is not about what you did wrong. It is about what you never got around to doing at all. The dream that was always parked in a someday that never arrived. The career change you contemplated every morning in the mirror but never pursued, because the known discomfort of your current life felt safer than the unknown fear of the leap. The artistry you contained, telling yourself it was a hobby, not a calling, because a calling demanded a risk you were not prepared to take. Think of the relationship you allowed to dissolve, not in a fire of argument, but in the slow, cold drip of neglect. You were busy. They were busy. You both assumed the foundation was strong enough to withstand the silence. But foundations, like people, need attention. They need to be walked upon, lived upon. Left alone, they settle into a different shape, or they quietly crumble. One day, you look up, and the person who once knew the landscape of your heart is now a polite stranger. The regret here is not for a single betrayal, but for the thousands of small betrayals of attention, for choosing the urgent over the important again and again, until the important simply faded away.
We construct entire lives on the premise of later. We postpone joy, believing it must be earned through a sufficient quantity of struggle. We defer presence, convincing ourselves that this frantic pace is temporary, a bridge to a calmer shore. We sacrifice our curiosity and our passion on the altar of practicality. And we do this with a kind of quiet desperation, hoping that the future self we are building this for will appreciate the sacrifice, that they will understand the missed birthdays, the skipped vacations, the friendships left to wither, the books left unread, the sunsets ignored. But the future self arrives one day, and they do not feel like a beneficiary of a wise investment. They feel like a custodian of an empty museum. The halls are filled with the artifacts of a life lived on autopilot, the certificates, the furniture, the routines. But the vibrant, messy, beautiful noise of a life fully engaged is absent. The realization dawns not as a thunderclap, but as a slow, gray sunrise. You see the outline of the life you actually built against the silhouette of the life you imagined. And in that space between the two, regret makes its home. It whispers, "You had time. You just spent it on the wrong things." It reminds you of the resilience you underestimated in yourself, of the safety nets you didn't know you had. You see with brutal clarity that many of the chains you felt bound by were of your own making, forged from fear rather than necessity. The job you hated but stayed in for decades, not because you had to, but because you were afraid you couldn't do anything else. The love you didn't express because you were afraid of seeming foolish or vulnerable. The trip you didn't take because the planning felt overwhelming. This regret is for the self you postponed, the version of you that was playful, creative, adventurous, or deeply connected. You kept that self in a waiting room, promising it would be summoned soon, but soon became a moving target, and one day you realized the waiting room is empty. That version of you got tired of waiting and left. And now you're left with the shell of the self that did the waiting, the responsible one, the cautious one, the one that traded vitality for security. This is the first great sorrow of accumulated regret. It is the profound understanding that you collaborated in your own confinement. You were both the prisoner and the guard. And the most painful part is the knowledge that it didn't have to be that way. Not in the dramatic sense, but in 1,000 small daily ways. A different choice could have been made at any point. The path was always there, alongside you. You just stopped looking at it, convinced the well-trodden road was the only one that existed. This realization leaves a specific kind of quiet in its wake. It is a hollowed-out silence, and into that silence, another feeling begins to flow. It is not the absence of people, for you may be surrounded by them. It is the absence of connection. It is the loneliness that comes not from being alone, but from being unseen, even in a crowd. This is where we must turn our attention next. Loneliness, in the later chapters of life, is rarely a simple absence of people. Often it is felt most acutely in their presence. It is the silence that hangs between two people who have shared a home for 50 years but have forgotten how to share a thought. It is the polite, distant concern of adult children who visit out of duty, their conversations skimming the surface of weather and health, while the vast, deep ocean of shared history and unspoken love remains unnavigated. It is sitting at a family gathering, surrounded by laughter and noise, and feeling utterly, irreducibly separate, a ghost at your own feast. This is the loneliness of emotional isolation. It is built not in a day, but over decades, brick by quiet brick. It is the unsaid thank you, the withheld I'm proud of you, the affection not shown because you were taught that strength meant stoicism. It is the gradual retreat into roles, parent, spouse, employee, until the person inhabiting those roles becomes a stranger even to themselves. When those roles fall away, through retirement or loss, what is left can feel frighteningly hollow. You look for yourself and find only the echoes of the functions you once served. Friendships, the lifelines of our younger selves, often succumb to a slow, mutual fading. It is not a dramatic rift, but a gentle drifting. Lives diverge, priorities shift. The effort to bridge the growing distance begins to feel like a burden, and then, one day, it stops being made at all. The friend becomes a memory, and then a name in an old address book,
and then a vague warmth associated with a particular period of your life. You think of them sometimes with a pang and wonder why you didn't try harder. The regret is for the lost shared context, for the witness to your life who is no longer there. They held a piece of your story, and with their departure, that piece becomes less real, less verified.
This loneliness is compounded by the unspoken words that pile up inside you. There are stories you long to tell, not for advice or drama, but simply to be heard, to say, "This happened to me, and it mattered." But you look at the faces around you, faces flickering in the blue light of their own concerns, and you sense their inability to hold the weight of your reminiscence. So you swallow the stories. They become interior furniture, rooms in your mind you walk through alone. You have conversations with people who are no longer alive, rehearsing what you wish you had said, seeking a closure the real world could not provide. The psychology here is one of disconnection. As we age, our social circles naturally contract, but more importantly, our sense of connection can atrophy. We may believe we are burdens if we express need. We may fear that our sadness or regret will be met with rushed reassurance. Don't think like that, rather than simple, patient listening. So we learn to perform contentment. We say we are fine. We talk about the past in curated, happy snippets. We become complicit in our own isolation, protecting others from the full reality of our inner world. And in doing so, we seal ourselves off from the very empathy we crave. This creates a peculiar paradox. The external world becomes quieter, fewer demands, less noise, but the internal world becomes deafeningly loud. In the absence of new, shared experiences, the past rushes in to fill the vacuum. Memories, once a pleasant backdrop, become the main event. They are no longer simple recollections. They are charged with emotional meaning. They are re-examined, re-evaluated. A moment of ordinary happiness from 40 years ago can bring a sharp, sweet pain. A minor slight, long forgiven, can resurface with puzzling vividness. The mind, seeking connection, turns inward and begins a lifelong conversation with itself, with memory as its only language.
And in this internal dialogue, the people you miss are not just absent, they become archetypes. The lost love becomes the embodiment of all lost potential. The departed parent becomes the source of all unresolved longing or forgiveness. The friend who faded becomes a symbol of your own perceived failure to maintain what matters. They are no longer flawed, complicated individuals. They are ghosts who haunt the halls of your regrets, silent companions to your solitude. This is the silent loss. It is not marked by a funeral, but by 1,000 small bereavements. The loss of shared laughter that required no explanation, the loss of being truly known, the loss of a hand that would reach for yours without being asked. The house may be full, but the home feels empty. The phone may ring, but the voice on the other end doesn't seek the you that exists beneath the surface. You become a curator of your own museum, and the visitors only glance at the exhibits. They do not read the plaques. They do not feel the weight of the artifacts. It is from this quiet, lonely place that we begin to sift through the memories themselves, not as stories to tell others, but as a landscape to wander through alone, trying to understand where the path turned, where the light was lost. This journey into memory and nostalgia is where regret finds its most potent fuel and its most profound lessons. Nostalgia is not mere memory. It is memory filtered through a soft, golden haze of longing. It is the past, not as it was, but as you wish it had been, or as your heart now chooses to remember it. The scent of rain on dry earth can transport you to a childhood summer you thought you'd forgotten. A few bars of a song from your 20s can bring a physical ache, a yearning for a time when your body felt limitless and your future felt like an open field. This is the power of sensory memory. It bypasses the intellect and speaks directly to the emotional core. It doesn't just remind you, it makes you feel it again, for a fleeting, beautiful, painful moment. Psychologically, nostalgia is often a response to present discomfort. When the current moment feels lonely, uncertain, or devoid of meaning, the mind seeks refuge in a time that feels, in retrospect, simpler, more vivid, more authentic. We revisit the landscapes of our youth, the specific way the light fell in your childhood kitchen in the afternoon, the texture of your grandmother's sofa, the sound of a particular friend's laugh. These are not just details, they are anchors to a self that felt more real, more connected. But here, nostalgia entwines intimately with regret. For every cherished memory, there is often a shadow companion, the opportunity missed within it. You remember the family holiday, but the regret is for being a moody teenager, too self-absorbed to appreciate your parents' effort. You remember the old group of friends, but the regret is for the conversation you didn't have, the vulnerability you didn't show, the night you left early. The memory itself is sweet, but the aftertaste is bitter with the knowledge that you didn't drink deeply enough from the cup when it was full. We regret the moments we were absent for, even though our bodies were there. The dinners spent worrying about work, the children's performances watched through the lens of a camera instead of your own eyes, the walks where your mind was a million miles away. These are the ghosts that haunt nostalgia. They are the gaps in the tapestry. You have the memory of the event, but not the memory of being fully, sensually present within it. You were a spectator in your own life.
This is why memories of failure often hurt less than memories of missed connection. A failed business venture can be rationalized, learned from, but the memory of turning away from someone who needed you, of letting a friendship lapse out of laziness, of choosing pride over reconciliation, these are wounds that do not scar over neatly. They remain tender because they speak to a failure of character, not just of circumstance. They ask the most uncomfortable question: what kind of person was I in that moment? The sensory language of this regret is profound. It lives in the silence that followed the unspoken apology. It lives in the empty space in a photograph where someone should have been. It lives in the fading scent on a piece of clothing you can't bring yourself to discard. It is the echo of a door closing, a phone not ringing, a last wave in a rearview mirror that you didn't know was the last. These are the artifacts of loss. They are not dramatic, they are quiet, domestic, deeply personal. As we age, this parade of memories becomes more frequent and more vivid. The brain, some theories suggest, becomes less focused on future planning and more engaged in life review. It is a natural, necessary process. We are trying to make sense of the narrative of our lives, to find the themes, the meaning, the cause and effect. And in this review, regret is the editor's red pen. It highlights the plot holes, the weak character development, the missed opportunities for a better story. But this process, while painful, is not merely a descent into sadness. It is also the forge of understanding. To feel the full weight of regret is to finally, truly comprehend the value of what was lost. It is a late education in what matters. The childhood friend you took for granted teaches you, decades later, about the irreplaceable nature of shared history. The parent you fought with teaches you about the finite preciousness of time. The dream you abandoned teaches you about the cost of denying your own nature. This is the turning point. The heavy, quiet emotion of regret begins to transform. It is no longer just a weapon of self-reproach. It becomes a teacher. Its lessons are written in the language of loss, but their message is about presence, about love, about authenticity. The pain of the past becomes a compass for whatever time remains. It points haltingly toward a different way of being, not with frantic ambition to fix everything, but with a slow, deliberate intention to live differently. This is the first fragile emergence of wisdom from the soil of regret.
This wisdom is not a list of instructions. It does not shout. It has no interest in productivity hacks or 10-step plans. It speaks in whispers, learned from a lifetime of listening to the wrong voices, including your own. It is the quiet understanding that arrives after the storm of striving has passed, leaving clarity in its wake. It is what you wish you could whisper to your younger self, not to change the past, but to offer a kind of companionship across the years. The first and most profound piece of this wisdom is about time. You finally understand its true nature. It is not a currency to be spent, but a river you are floating on. You cannot hoard it. You can only be present within it, noticing the banks as they pass. The obsession with saving time often leads to wasting the very moments that comprise it. The wisdom is to understand that the only time you ever truly have is this current, fleeting second. The past is a memory. The future is a speculation. This, the feeling of your breath, the quality of the light in the room, the texture of this emotion, this is real. The regret for 1,000 lost yesterdays becomes the resolve to be utterly present for this single, ordinary today. From this flows the second understanding. People are not a backdrop to your life's drama. They are the drama. They are the point. The career achievements fade, the acquisitions gather dust, but the warmth of a hand held, the comfort of being truly seen and accepted, the silent understanding in a shared glance, these are the treasures that remain when everything else is stripped away. The wisdom is to prioritize connection over being right, to choose kindness over cleverness, to understand that love is not a grand declaration preserved for special occasions, but a daily practice of attention, of small generosities, of choosing to turn toward someone again and again. This wisdom also brings a radical acceptance of the self you have been. You see the chain of cause and effect, the fear that led to the compromise, the insecurity that led to the boast, the pain that led to the withdrawal. You stop fighting the ghost of who you should have been. You begin, slowly, to make peace with who you were. This is not resignation, it is compassion. It is the understanding that you were doing the best you could with the awareness you had at the time. Forgiving yourself is not about absolving mistakes. It is about ceasing to wage a war within your own soul. It is about integrating all yourselves, the foolish, the brave, the cowardly, the kind, into one whole person. There is also a deep wisdom in simplicity. You realize that much of what you pursued was not desire, but distraction, a craving for more status, more possessions, more stimulation was often a way to outrun a quiet emptiness within. The wisdom of later years is the appreciation for sufficiency, the profound pleasure of a cup of tea made just right, the deep peace of a clean, quiet room, the unmatched beauty of a single tree you have watched through every season. You no longer need to be filled up by the external world. You find you can sit with yourself in your own company, and it is enough. It is, in fact, a kind of homecoming.
Finally, this wisdom understands the role of regret itself. You stop seeing it as an enemy to be defeated. You begin to see it as a testament to your care. You regret because you loved. You regret because something mattered. The depth of your regret is a mirror to the depth of your values. The pain of a missed opportunity with a child speaks to your love for that child. The ache for a lost friend speaks to the value of that friendship. Regret in this light is not a failure. It is the bittersweet proof that your heart engaged with the world. It is the price of being a feeling creature in an impermanent world. So, what do you do with this wisdom that feels like it comes too late? You do not use it to build a new monument. You use it to tend a garden. You water the relationships that are still within your reach. You plant seeds of kindness without expectation. You pull the weeds of old grudges.
You sit on the bench and feel the sun on your face, knowing this too is part of the harvest. You speak the words now, even if your voice shakes. You write the letter. You make the call. You listen, truly listen to the person in front of you. You do the small, irrational thing that brings you joy, simply because it brings you joy. You forgive others, not for them, but to set down the weight you've been carrying for them. You forgive yourself for the same reason. This is not a happy ending. It is a peaceful continuation. The regrets do not vanish. They become part of the landscape of your soul, like gentle hills on a horizon. They give the terrain its character, its depth. They are the evidence of a life lived with all its missteps and longings. And so you move forward, not with a list of resolutions, but with a different quality of attention. The world looks the same, but you see it differently. You hear the silence between the notes. You see the light holding the dust in the air. You feel the immense, fragile beauty of it all. The wisdom is not in having all the answers. It is in finally being okay with the questions, and in understanding that the greatest act of courage is not a grand achievement, but the quiet decision to be present, to be kind, and to be at peace with the unfolding story, even its regrets. You carry it all a little more gently now,